and welcome to Green Healing, where we discuss alternative and natural healing from abuse, trauma, and CPTSD. Today, I'd like to expand on something. I've been doing the Richard Grannon courses, and he talks often about Pete Walker. Pete Walker is a psychotherapist and general practitioner with multiple books. Once again, this is not I'm not affiliated with him. No links are affiliate links, although I will link to his website directly. And on his website, available for everyone, are his 13 steps to managing emotional flashbacks or just PTSD flashbacks. So as good for general PTSD and CPTSD, whether it's a flashback or emotional flashback. And so I'd like to expand on that because it's very combinable with EFT tapping. Pete Walker's 13 steps to managing flashbacks. Number 1, he says to acknowledge the flashback. I am having a flashback. I am having an emotional flashback. So to combine that with EFT, you would tap on your karate chop over here, and it's an even though affirmation. So even though I'm having an emotional flashback, I truly, deeply, and completely love and accept myself. And you can do this several times. You can say it a few times if other emotions come to mind, things that surface right away, pop up. You can tap on it and address it right away. When the energy is moving of tapping, it can make thoughts and emotions arise that we become conscious of. You can tap on each tapping point, repeating the affirmation at any moment. And fears, if you're able to pinpoint specific fears in relation to the flashback, you can tap on that as well. Number 2, he says to remind ourselves that right now we're safe, that we are safe now. So it's very much the right here and right now, I'm okay affirmation that I do a lot with EFT. He says, I feel afraid, but I am not in danger. I am safe now, here and in the present. And so the whole time you can be tapping while saying these affirmations. And then say, even though affirmations also, even though I feel afraid, I truly, deeply, and completely love and accept myself. Even though, anything else that arises, and right here and right now, I'm okay. You can do this several times. You can cycle through the tapping points as well. Number 3, Pete Walker says to remind ourselves that we have the right to leave a dangerous situation or to protest unfair behavior. So, tapping. I am allowed, and it is my right, to leave a situation and to protest unfair behavior. And then just repeat, I am allowed. I am allowed, because what I notice for myself oftentimes is that I feel not allowed because of, brainwashing from the abuser or childhood beliefs or things that were ingrained in us, like a pre-training, as it were, before we became consciously aware that we're allowed. If someone else is allowed, so are we. So I am allowed through tapping points. And then even though I feel as though I am not allowed, I am allowed. And I truly and deeply and completely love, accept, love, honor, and accept myself. Number 4, Pete Walker says to reassure the inner child. So while tapping, the affirmations I've written down are, there was a time when in a situation like this meant I was unsafe, and when I held in my feelings, and I was afraid to tell others to stop or to say no. Right here and right now, I am safe and allowed. And now you can speak directly to the inner child, as though your inner child is a third person. So to saying you to the child, it's like speaking to yourself. So I know you felt lost and scared in the past, but I truly, deeply, and completely love, and accept you just the way you are. That's something that I do with my therapist in EFT tapping, the speaking to the inner child and saying that I love and accept you just the way you are. For the inner child, it's the just the way you are that seems to be a key part of the affirmation when addressing the inner child. Number 5, Pete Walker says to remind ourselves that the flashback will pass. Even if in the past we felt fear and in the past abandonment felt endless. So even though I feel afraid, this flashback will pass. And right here and right now, I'm okay. It's just a feeling and it will pass. You can go through the tapping points once again. Every time you can go through the tapping points, you can just always continue on the karate chop. It's as you feel comfortable, as you feel it. Something might pop up at any moment, a revelation, and then you can zero in and focus on that at any moment. Number 6, Pete Walker says to remind ourselves that we are now adults with resources we didn't necessarily have when we were younger or in that moment, even as adults in an abusive relationship, resources that we have now we didn't have before. So even though I feel like a child, I truly, deeply, and completely love, honor, and accept myself. Even though I feel helpless, I truly, deeply, and completely love and accept myself. Right here and right now, I am an adult, and I have resources to protect myself I didn't have back then. It's okay to feel this way. And yes, it's okay to feel this way. It's a memory. And right now, I am stronger and more resourceful, which is true. There's always that progression, as we heal, as we grow stronger, as we grow more resourceful along our healing journey. Number 7 is to ease back into the body. Though since we're tapping from the beginning, we're kind of in our body, but this is a good exercise. And he says to ease back into the body with breathing, feeling, and finding a safe place to wind down. And there are a few steps to it. So even though I am in fight or flight mode, I am safe. Everything that relates to this flashback, I am letting go of and breathing it out. Breathing it out, releasing it, and letting go. And then you can breathe. A nice, good breath, as many breaths as you need. Breathing is key, which I tend to forget to do. I need to remind myself to breathe because I get all tensed up and then I get cramps and then the cramps move up and all the muscles tension here and the heart chakra, the solar plexus chakra, heart chakra, up here, the throat, everything here and the stomach. That's where most of us will tend to. And so breathing, and if you do feel something physically, like my therapist always tells me to breathe into that, and to visualize sending the oxygen to that area of the body. It will help ease, and you can shift position as you need to feel more comfortable as well. And then tapping, another affirmation I wrote is, my body can relax now, because we tend to get very stressed. I tend to get very stressed. And so reminding my body that I can relax now. It's okay to just, it's okay. You can hug yourself. You can hug a plushie. I have one right here. I have a few around the house. You can hug yourself. You can hug a plushie. You can sit with a warm blanket. You can do a grounding exercise. You can hold a gemstone or go in the tub. Whatever helps you get back into your body, because when these things happen, we're very much in our heads, in our minds. And so we're very much in here and up here. We just need to bring it back into the body, and we need to ground ourselves, to anchor ourselves with the energy of the earth. And tapping, I acknowledge I still feel fear if you're still feeling fear. Notice where in the body it's showing up. And this I do with my therapist all the time. You notice where it's showing up. Breathe into that area. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's the intensity? Can you give it a color? And tap on that. You can cycle through the tapping points, the intensity on 10, the color, where it feels in the body, what it feels like, other emotions that come to mind. So you can do emotional literacy while you're doing this. You can do this while rocking as well. I like to rock. And just breathing through it all. And then more even though affirmations. Number 8 is to recognize if we're catastrophizing, exaggerating, things like that, replaying scenes or imagining things that haven't happened yet. So we can tap on that, especially if there's negative thinking. Even though I feel this about myself, I truly, deeply, and completely love and accept myself. Number 9 is to allow yourself to grieve, which is very important. Sometimes even I cry easily, but sometimes I am in judgment of myself, of the grieving process. So just to be in acceptance of the grieving. So tapping, whatever comes to mind, even though affirmations, cry if you need to, tapping all these feelings of fear, hurt, and abandonment, I now let go of. I now release any, and then there for each tapping point, I'll go through them in a moment, has an emotion. I now release any related to this. Breathing it out, releasing it, and letting go. And for each point, you tap gently. I now release any related to this. And then after you say breathing it out, releasing it, and letting go, you press gently and breathe out. So for the eyebrow point, it's fear. For the side of the eyes, it's resentment, rage, or anger. And you say or because you might be feeling all of them or only one of them, but those are the emotions for that point. Under the eyes, it's anxiety. Under the nose, it's guilt. On the chin, it's shame. On the sternum, it's scary thoughts. On the liver points, it's any wanting to hold on. Under the arms, it's worry or excessive concern. And at the top of the head, it's hurt or sadness. So I now release any emotion related to this. Breathing it out, releasing it, and letting go. And then hold. And for the top of the head, you can just rest your hand there. And I have a guided meditation for this specific exercise, for the breathing it out, releasing it, and letting go exercise. So I'll link to that in the description of this episode if you need that guided meditation for this. And you can do this exercise anytime for anything, basically. And then after, I added another affirmation is, I now know how to protect myself. And I truly, deeply, and completely love, honor, and accept myself. Number 10, Pete Walker says, if we need time alone to take it without isolating ourselves necessarily, we can talk to loved ones. If you're feeling the need to isolate yourself or shy or afraid or ashamed to talk about what happened to a loved one who's present or who may have said something that was the trigger for the flashback or emotional flashback, even though affirmations, to acknowledge all of that. Number 11, Pete Walker says to identify the trigger if we can. So even though affirmations will help with that, even if we can't identify, even though I have no idea what triggered me, I truly, deeply, and completely love and accept myself, because it will happen that sometimes I can pinpoint exactly, and I can even relate to the exact moment, in the past. And sometimes I have no idea I must be having an emotional flashback because I'm recognizing that that's how I feel. And that person said something that other times doesn't bother me at all, especially in those moments. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's just the way they said it was hurtful, and that's okay also. Saying, I don't know if this is a flashback, but what you said is hurtful to me. And you can go through rephrasing, reframing, rephrasing. I do that too sometimes. Sometimes I'll just express something that doesn't come out quite right, and that's okay. Because sometimes the words don't necessarily come, and the meaning of certain words will interpret in different ways, interpret different tones in different ways. But regardless, just go through the emotions, even though affirmations. And if you can't identify the trigger, that's okay also. Number 12, Pete Walker says to figure out what we're flashbacking to, if possible. If we can't, even though I have no idea what I'm flashbacking to, and that's okay also. And if to remind yourself that right here and right now you are safe. And there are affirmations for if being unable. Once again, even though affirmations will do the trick. And number 13, Pete Walker says to be patient with a slow recovery process. And just to give you an example, I've been actively healing for more than 5 years. I forget how long I've been actively healing. I tried a few things that didn't necessarily help. Some things helped at the beginning, and then with the EFT tapping, that's been really helpful over the years. It's a journey and it's not a race. Sometimes it seems as though I'm more healed than I am on a good day to an external person who doesn't know what's going on the daily, or how, when I'm able to micromanage, no one knows all the triggers and emotional flashback that I'm able to manage and I'm not outwardly reacting to. So I say don't judge yourself, but remember that it's okay for it to take a long time. And even I sometimes judge myself, I'm not trying to tell you what to don't judge yourself, but just remember that it's okay. And we tend to judge ourselves, but it's important to stop the inner critic and to say, even though affirmations, which is really what helps me when I'm judging myself. When I remember to do the affirmations, because sometimes in the moment, you have to consciously stop yourself and say, okay, I need to stop this unhealthy thinking that's not serving me right now. And so even though it feels slow to recover, even though it feels like it's taking forever, even though it feels like I'll never heal, even though it feels I'll never get better, I truly, deeply, and completely love and accept myself. I will get better. I will heal. It takes time, and that's okay. I am getting better. I am healing. And it's okay to have a flashback while healing. It's normal, and I am healing, and I truly, deeply, and completely love, honor, and accept myself. Pete Walker describes it as 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes it feels like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, and then a step back, 2 steps back, a step forward. It's like walking through snow, okay? We're always, almost walking in place. But healing is a journey, and it's different for everybody. Not everything works. It's not a one-size-fits-all of healing. I'm a combination things. EFT, back flower remedies are my go-tos. That's why there's a lot of that on this channel. For you, it might be something else. It might be just the one thing. It might be a combination of several things. You're exploring that. You're learning. You're discovering. That's the journey of healing, to discover. Once again, I'm not affiliated to Pete Walker. This is just me expanding on what's available that he puts publicly available on his website, the 13 steps to managing flashbacks. I highly recommend you check the link, not affiliate link, and hopefully the expansion that I did with all the EFT affirmations that I've written for these steps will help you along as well. If you'd like to support Green Healing, there's the Elements Healing music with Singing Bowl, there's the PayPal tip jar, and there's t-shirts in the merch store. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you're listening to it on the podcast form, thank you for listening. And remember, empower yourself and be emotionally free.